Welcome back to another episode of Goosebumps Podcast Can Be Murder. Tonight, I'm joined with three other co-hosts. I'm Bumps of the Night. I'm joined by the Grinch.
Hello.
Waffle Fan 42.
Info.
And then we're joined by Josh, aka An Otaku Life for Me.
What up, y'all?
Today we're going to be discussing Goosebumps book number 6. This book is called Let's Get Invisible. So Grinch, go ahead and break down the plot a little bit, and then we're going to dive into the details of the plot, and then we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay, Max is turning 12 years old. On Max's birthday, he finds a sort of magic mirror in the attic. It can make him become invisible. In a spooky, middle-grade thriller, Max and his friend discover that being able to be invisible isn't so terrific if you can't make yourself reappear. So, also, in the book, the first time they got stuck in the mirror was his friend, and they had to fight their evil counterparts in the mirror. Yeah.
Before we get started on this, I just want to say today's unofficial sponsor is Mountain Dew. This is the 20th anniversary of Baja Blast, so this goes out to Mountain Dew.
My dad's favorite drink.
Yeah, it's a good one. So this one picks up, the book literally starts out, it's Max Thompson's birthday. He's got a couple of his friends around. His dog goes into the attic and essentially knocks over something that breaks away a hidden wall, which then reveals this old ancient mirror that's hidden away in his attic, which interesting. And they decide to click the light on the mirror, and the light turns them invisible. So they start doing a contest, as kids would do, who can stay invisible the longest. And that's kind of where the shenanigans in this book pick up.
True.
Some key points in this book where they went out of their way to point out certain things, which they had to, because again, it's about like a mirror world. His brother's nickname is Lefty. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know a single person who's left-handed who nicknamed themselves Lefty. I feel like that was just a little too on the nose.
True.
And then they went out of their way to explain, his friend Zach's haircut has a very interesting pattern on one side. So, of course, it'll be reversed later on. So, Waffle, what'd you think of this book?
Well, really good. I really liked the ending. It's just made me think, like, oh, did he get swapped or not? And yeah, it's overall really good.
Josh, what'd you think about this book?
As I was saying in the chat earlier, I would say it's one of the better books in the series. It's not as bad as, it wasn't as bad as Say Cheese and Die. Personally, I like it. I like the episode too. Actually, I like how the episode played out a little bit more with the ending. The ending was like, I think in the book, it's left more ambiguous if it's his double or not. But in the episode, it's more congruent, like, that's his evil twin. His brother's evil twin, bro.
All right, Grinch, what'd you think about the book?
Well, this book compared to Say Cheese and Die had a little bit more, sympathetic characters, unlike Say Cheese. And I have to say, he's one of the better siblings of Goosebumps, and not saying a lot. Even though he does break the rule his brother gave him later on.
True, I guess, yeah.
So,
and also the evil doppelgangers, I have to say, were a lot better than Spidey from Say Cheese, if I'm being completely honest. Because they at least have more of an arc compared to Spidey, who's just an old man who just like making cameras.
yeah, so I agree with you. At this point, I want to say this is our second book in the series about an inanimate object being the true, counterpart of what's going on in the book. Even though, like the camera, it really didn't have its own character or personality, I found the object more interesting. The things it did, the camera takes pictures and you could die from it, but this felt more real. This felt more like, not that it could happen per se, but there was more danger on the map. I never felt like that with Say Cheese and Die. But with this one, it's like, if he gets trapped in the mirror world, he really is screwed,
Yeah, there's no one to get him out, really.
Yeah, because they don't tell anybody, essentially, they're doing this.
Besides his friend.
You got a point, yeah, besides the friend, but they don't tell any adults. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but overall, this is supposed to be like a soft transition to instead of the mirror, it's supposed to be like if the kids were doing drugs. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I understand also.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Another statement was, it's vanity. That's the other the biggest villain here is vanity.
We can get into the villain in just a second, but essentially we're talking about how more or less becoming invisible was almost like a metaphor for getting high. Now, the more they did it, the worse off they got. Yeah, why don't we'll go right into the segue here. So, Josh, you were saying that vanity is the true villain of this book?
Yeah, because the mirror obviously represents your image, your self-image, and I would say the evil twin represents the insecurities of Matt. And so
makes more sense.
If you think about it, everyone wanted to turn to look in the mirror.
Okay. Waffle, who do you think the real villain of this book was? And it can be something off the tracks like Josh just said.
I'd say it's Max's grandparents. They said he got his house from his grandparents, so clearly they knew about the mirror. And, like, why would you let your family go near the mirror unless you didn't like them?
That's true. They should have broken it. You got a really good point there. Grinch, who do you think the true villain of this book was?
I had to say, this is like the mirror from Harry Potter in a way, where like it shows your darkest secrets in a way, like how Harry Potter wants his parents back. You know
Oh, yeah, like the first book. Yeah.
Excuse me, you were talking to Harry.
Huh?
Hang on, he's breaking up a bit, but he's a huge Harry Potter fan.
Mirror does not show your darkest secret. Mirror that shows you what you most desire in the world.
Yes.
No matter how unattainable it is. It does not show you your darkest secrets, though.
All right, so Josh, I think kind of took the steal here and ran away with the vanity one. I was going to say obsession is the true villain of this book, because once they get a taste of the mirror, they all become obsessed with it for a while. I mean, Max not so much once he starts feeling like shit and realizes, hey, this is dangerous, but I mean, look at it. Lefty and Zach got so obsessed that they ended up getting switched. Zach got switched back, but for certain, Lefty did not. Lefty is now righty. But I guess he's all right.
I mean, my problem with the thing they're saying is the grandparents is this. What if the grandparents try to destroy the mirror, but the mirror can't be destroyed?
Yeah, but didn't they break the mirror in this book?
Oh yeah, they did. But the problem was that unlike the other ones, I think the mirror can actually be repaired. I think that's what happened towards the end.
Like it self-repairs?
They destroyed the mirror and put the pieces up in the attic, okay? Thinking that, hey, it's a destroyed mirror, not knowing it can rebuild itself.
Yeah.
True. That's how Lefty became righty.
So, all right, so Waffle, let's start with you. What's one thing you did not like about this book?
I don't know. This book was really good. They made it confusing if Lefty got switched or not. Because, like, he cracked the mirror and all the friends went back to normal, but Lefty didn't for some reason. All he did was throw with his right hand. He could be just trying out something new.
That is true. The reason I think Lefty, if he did get switched, which Josh said the episode kind of confirms it, but I think the reason was the time spent, because think about it. Out of everybody, he had the most access to that mirror. He lived there. So if he did it and essentially stayed invisible for an entire night, I don't know what the time lapse exactly is before you get permanently switched, but he definitely played with fire in this one. Grinch, what's one thing you didn't like about the book?
Out of all things, I have to say it's probably the parents, because they're really neglectful throughout the Desire story till the end. Like, they're like, wait, is your brother okay? Like, are you serious? You got this house from your grandparents, and you didn't even know the mirror was up there, and suddenly you're like, oh, is he okay? No, crap, he's not okay.
Here's a fun thought for you. What if they did know about the mirror, and because they're not actually their parents, those are their parents' reflection?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Cue the Goosebumps theme. All right, Josh, what's one thing you didn't like about this book?
The ending. Again, I'm not saying I don't like ambiguous endings, but there are times where I'm like, can you just give me to me straight, please? Did it happen or did it not happen? Like, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
The book is ambiguous, and I didn't like that when I was a kid. As a kid, I was like, I want to know what happened. And there's always someone when you're talking about it that be like, no, because that didn't happen in my mind. I like the episode, because whenever I was talking about the episode with somebody, there was no way of them saying, well, that didn't happen. No, it was clear as day. The brother is no longer the normal brother.
Good point there. Personally, for me, as a kid, I read this book. I did not like it. I remember disliking it very much. And honestly, I held it up on like my lower F tier for a long time. But going back and rereading it recently, I realized I was judging it too hard. And I think it was because I was a kid and I didn't really grasp everything that was going on here. It wasn't so much that it was scary. I mean, Goosebumps really is scary, but like it didn't scare me as a kid. Honestly, I think the only thing I really have to complain about is just the pacing is kind of boring. At the end of the day, when you don't have a real live monster, you know, it takes a little more to get the story to keep going. It's supposed to be a thriller, but it's not very thrilling. That makes sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Like, it's not bad, it's just not amazing. Let's go around the circle again. Waffle, what's one thing you did like about the book?
Yeah, I guess the metaphor of like, oh, don't get addicted or else bad stuff will happen.
PSAs, no matter where you look. Movies, TV, video games, posters, candy. PSAs. All right, let's take a quick sponsored break.
Refresh your senses with a wave of tropical lime flavor. Mountain Dew Baja Blast. In stores now.
And now we're back. Grinch, what's one thing you liked about this book?
I have to say probably the villains. I'm talking about their reflections because they feel more fleshed out than Spidey was, or even the Mummy at this point, because at least these villains have a motive for doing what they're supposed to do. They want to get out of the mirror and live.
Okay. Josh, what's one thing you liked about the book?
I guess the vanity aspect, teaching people not to be so obsessed with your looks.
Like Adonis.
It's what's inside that counts, not what's on the outside.
I think you like the vanity aspect because you're a huge fan of Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, probably true, yeah.
All right. As for me, I like that it wasn't a happy ending. I like that not everybody, gets away scot-free. This isn't a like, hey, we all got to play with fire and learn our lesson. Lefty paid, literally, with his life.
It's still going to go on the theory that the mirror can be rebuilt by itself. Rebuild itself. I mean, at some point, what all Matt would have to do would be get his evil twin back in front of the mirror and switch him out with his brother.
Let's talk about this while we're on that subject. Do you guys think this book needed a sequel? Let's start with Waffle.
I'd say yes. It could continue the plot, like him fighting his brother or trying to figure out how to swap him back. And yeah, it was a good book, so.
Yeah, I would like to see a sequel as well. Grinch, do you think we need a sequel to this?
Yeah, this is a sequel, unlike the Monster Blood, at least.
Yeah. No kidding on that one. Josh, what do you think? Sequel material, yay, nay?
I think it deserves a sequel. And fun fact, when I was younger, I thought the Goosebumps 2000 book, I'm Your Evil Twin, actually was the sequel to this.
Same, dude, same. Okay. Let's talk about the episode, and then we're going to score the book. So let's start with Grinch. Grinch, give me your thoughts on the episode. Do you think they adapted it well, and do you think it was good?
To be honest, they adapted it very, very good, especially with the kid actors from Max and his friends, especially Lefty. And I feel like the parents were underutilized. Also, Lefty's actor for that ending scene of him looking at the camera and winking, I almost grabbed my pants. When I was a kid, that scared the crap out of me.
Made you scared to look in mirrors, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like I almost broke every mirror in my house.
The only thing that scared the little shit out of me was probably the ending of My Best Friend's Invisible. With the eyes in the back of their head, mouth thing, that was unnecessary.
Waffle, do you think this was a good episode, and was it adapted well?
I might say yes. The actor for Lefty, he did a really good job.
Okay. Josh, do you think this was a good episode, and was it adapted well?
I think it's a good episode. I think it was adapted well.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to be the only odd man out here. Do I think it was a good episode? Not necessarily. Do I think they told the book's plot in a quick fashion that fit the time slot? Yes. Was it a hard book to do? Not necessarily. For me, the CGI was really rough, and I get it. It's a low-budget kids show, so of course, the CGI is going to be rough, but I feel like instead of having him run in front of a green screen that looked extremely terrible, they could have built, just like they could have taken like a hall or maybe a tent or something. They could have built a space where like that would be the inside the mirror and just made it more creepy. I feel like they could have spent a little more time on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I will give the kid actors, yes, the kid actors did a great job, especially like with the whole switching of the earring and Lefty pretending he's a righty. Like that stuff was good. And the parents were pretty comical. They were the most generic parents you've ever seen on TV ever. Like just no fucks given. It was neat when the mirror exploded and Max got out of it. But again, the CGI inside the mirror was just meh. Also, fun fact, usually Grinch says these, but my turn. If you pay attention to Max's hat, the hat's got the Goosebumps G on it.
They always did that in the Goosebumps show. They always...
Hell yeah, dude. Sneak them in where you can, my guy. All right, so let's rate the book, starting with Waffle, 1 through 10. What would you score this book?
8.5.
Grinch, what would you score this book?
I'd say at least a 9, at least, compared to like the other one.
Okay, Josh? 8. You'd score an 8?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 7. Was not the worst, was not the best. You know what I'm saying? 8.125. So this book scored an 8, which an average is a B. So I think that's a fair score for this book. Starting with Waffle, do you have any closing notes on this book?
I'll just... The grandparents let them move into this house, man.
That's a metaphor for how the generations before us screwed us.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. The grandparents should have said something, like give a warning, you know? Grinch, closing statements on this book.
If you ever see a mirror that try to take your place, smash it in a itty bitty bits and throw it in the trash.
Josh, closing statements on the book.
Get invisible.
Get invisible. Yeah, there you go. Well,
Sorry.
you know what? I'll give you props. It's a good one there. For me, like I said, was not a bad book. It actually is better than I remember. I don't think it just held the attention of many kids as a kid, but that's why we're rereading this as a book club. All right, guys. Today's episode has been unofficially sponsored by Baja Blast. If you haven't already had one, go get yourself a Baja Blast right now. They're cool, refreshing, and they taste amazing. So join us next episode as we go into Night of the Living Dummy.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
My hopes are when we do this episode, we have everybody, including Brandon and Evan. So we're going for a 6-member podcast on this episode. With that being said, this is Goosebumps Podcast Can Be Murder, and we'll stab you in the next one.